Scientists used AI to decode owl songs, and what they found about us is terrifying. For years, we thought owls were just hooting into the night. Random sounds, animal noise. But when scientists fed thousands of owl calls into artificial intelligence, something strange happened. The AI didn't hear chaos. It heard patterns, rhythms, pauses, emotional signals. Then things got uncomfortable. The same AI was trained on human voices, people arguing, people afraid, people under stress. And it started finding the same vocal patterns in both. Lower pitch, shorter sounds, repetition. The exact signals owls use when they feel watched or threatened. Even worse, the AI struggled to tell the difference. To the machine, human speech didn't look special. It looked like advanced animal signaling. That raises a disturbing question. If AI sees our voices the same way it sees an owl's call, are we communicating or just reacting? And if we're not as unique as we believe, what does that mean about us? On the edge of a quiet Oregon forest, Matt Weldy worked through a mountain of audio files, thousands of hours of night recordings, each filled with the faint, distant hoots of spotted owls. For decades, biologists tried to make sense of these sounds by ear, but the sheer volume overwhelmed any hope of catching subtle patterns. That changed with the arrival of machine learning models like Google Perch. Weldy and his team fed the recordings into the AI, which transformed the raw audio into spectrograms, visual maps of sound, where frequency and time reveal hidden shapes. Instead of random noise, the AI picked out recurring motifs, a particular 1.2-second sequence, repeating with uncanny precision across recordings. These motifs weren't isolated. When the team compared calls from different regions, the AI detected consistent pitch differences, almost like local accents. Owls in the Pacific Northwest favored a deeper tone, while those further south shifted higher by several hundred hertz. The rhythm and timing of each call, once thought to be a product of chance, followed predictable intervals. Patterns emerged not just in the structure of the hoots, but in how they grouped together, forming what could only be called regional dialects. Weldy described it as finding the musical score beneath the surface, a structured language of rhythm and pitch unique to each population. What had seemed like a wild chorus now revealed a hidden order, all mapped out by algorithms trained to catch what human ears had missed for years. Scientists used AI to decode owl songs, and what they found about us is terrifying. For years, we thought owls were just hooting into the night. Random sounds, animal noise. But when scientists fed thousands of owl calls into artificial intelligence, something strange happened. The AI didn't hear chaos. It heard patterns, rhythms, pauses, emotional signals. Then things got uncomfortable. The same AI was trained on human voices, people arguing, people afraid, people under stress. And it started finding the same vocal patterns in both. Lower pitch, shorter sounds, repetition, the exact signals owls use when they feel watched or threatened. Even worse, the AI struggled to tell the difference. To the machine, human speech didn't look special. It looked like advanced animal signaling. That raises a disturbing question. If AI sees our voices the same way it sees an owl's call, are we communicating or just reacting? And if we're not as unique as we believe, what does that mean about us? Srikanth Narayanan, a researcher at USC, set out to answer a question that had stumped biologists for years. Could the hidden structure in owl calls also reveal emotion? To test this, His team designed a field experiment using predator playback, broadcasting the sounds of a rival or a threat, and recording how wild owls responded. The audio files, dense with overlapping hoots, were fed into a machine learning model trained to pick out subtle changes in pitch, rhythm, and spectral shape. The AI didn't just sort the calls by type. It began to cluster them by what Narayanan called internal state. When the playback signaled danger, the model flagged a spike in low-frequency calls, longer, flatter, and compressed in the spectrogram. These weren't random. In over 3/4 of the cases, the AI's predictions matched the context of the experiment. The accuracy rate held at 78%, a figure that stunned even the research team. Patterns once lost in the noise now pointed to stress or aggression, encoded in the very shape of the sound. Narayanan described the effect as a kind of emotional fingerprint. When the threat faded, the calls shifted. Intervals lengthened, frequencies rose, and the spectral compression relaxed. Each vocal trait mapped to a different state, tense, calm, or somewhere in between. The AI's ability to read these cues suggested that owl songs carried more than just information about territory or identity. They carried the imprint of experience, stress, and even fear, all hidden in the physics of a hoot. Autonomous recorders left overnight in dense forests captured more than just the regular cadence of owl calls. They also recorded moments when something changed, when a person entered the scene. Researchers noticed that at distances as far as 30 meters, the presence of a human altered the pattern of hoots. The shift was subtle but measurable. The pitch of the calls rose by about 2 kilohertz, and the intervals between each note shortened by 15%. Instead of the drawn-out, steady rhythm that filled the woods on undisturbed nights, the calls became clipped and sharper, each one closer to the next. Field teams confirmed the effect across multiple territories, logging the precise distances and environmental conditions. The adjustment happened quickly, sometimes within seconds of a person stepping into range. These weren't alarm calls or frantic outbursts, just a tightening of the song, a barely perceptible tension woven into the sound. The pattern repeated itself in site after site, suggesting a behavioral flexibility that went beyond simple instinct. The data hinted at a kind of vigilance, a readiness to adapt vocal output in response to being watched. In human conversation, similar changes appear when someone senses they're not alone. Voices rise, sentences shorten, pauses disappear. The overlap is striking. What seems like a minor adaptation in the forest becomes a mirror for how living creatures, owl or human, unconsciously reshape their voices when the world is listening. Scientists used AI to decode owl songs, and what they found about us is terrifying. For years, we thought owls were just hooting into the night, random sounds, animal noise. But when scientists fed thousands of owl calls into artificial intelligence, something strange happened. The AI didn't hear chaos. It heard patterns, rhythms, pauses, emotional signals. Then things got uncomfortable. The same AI was trained on human voices, people arguing, people afraid, people under stress, and it started finding the same vocal patterns in both. Lower pitch, shorter sounds, repetition, the exact signals owls use when they feel watched or threatened. Even worse, the AI struggled to tell the difference. To the machine, human speech didn't look special. It looked like advanced animal signaling. That raises a disturbing question. If AI sees our voices the same way it sees an owl's call, are we communicating or just reacting? And if we're not as unique as we believe, what does that mean about us? Section: Blurring the species line, data says we match. In a soundproof lab at USC, researchers fed two worlds of audio into the same algorithm: wild owl calls and the tense, clipped voices from a national emergency call database. The AI was trained to ignore language and focus only on the raw features, pitch, timing, and the shape of each sound. What came back was a statistical map that no one expected. Out of thousands of samples, the model grouped 92% of owl alarm calls and human distress speech into the same acoustic cluster. Both shared the same drop in fundamental frequency, or F0, the bass pitch sliding lower under stress. The duration of each vocal burst shrank, with tight, compressed syllables replacing the natural flow. Repetition spiked, not just in owls warning each other from the treetops, but in people calling for help, their words clipped and cycling, as if running on instinct. These weren't just superficial similarities. The AI flagged the same set of markers, lowered pitch, shortened intervals, and repeated motifs across both species whenever the context involved threat or fear. The overlap was so pronounced that in blind tests, the model sometimes failed to sort owl from human, treating both as signals of high alert. The numbers left little room for argument. Whether in the hush of a forest or the chaos of an emergency, the voice reacts with the same toolkit: compressing, lowering, repeating. The data suggested a hidden rule book, one that spans species and situations, written in the physics of sound rather than the logic of language. Gary Marcus, a cognitive scientist and AI critic, once warned that machines don't truly understand the patterns they find. They associate, they cluster, but meaning is out of reach. When researchers pointed their algorithms at both owl calls and human voices, the results were unsettling. Not because the AI had discovered language in the forest, but because it failed to see a difference at all. The model treated the frantic hoots of an owl and the clipped panic of a human as echoes of the same event. A living thing reacting to the world, not reasoning with it. The boundaries we draw between animal and human, between instinct and intention, faded into background noise. If a machine trained only to recognize patterns can't tell our most urgent words apart from an owl's alarm, what does that say about the stories we tell ourselves? Marcus argued that AI's blindness to meaning is a mirror, showing us how much of our own communication is ritual, repetition, and reaction, less unique than we imagine. The unsettling possibility is not that AI has demystified our language, but that it has revealed how much of it is built on the same rules as every other animal's call. The algorithm's confusion isn't a flaw. It's a reminder that, at the level of sound and signal, we are not as separate from the wild as we want to believe. Today, AI draws unsettling parallels between animal calls and our own speech. As machines strip away what makes us feel unique, they force us to reconsider what truly sets us apart. The line between instinct and intention blurs, and the answer may say more about us than we want to admit.